It's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one is actually a follower submission, and it goes like this. Am I the astronaut for telling my friend she smells terrible and embarrassing her? To preface this story, I know I'm the asshole, but I feel like I'm a justified asshole. I've been friends with Kinley, 28 female, for years now. Recently, I've noticed a change in her. She's gained a lot of weight pretty quickly, and her eating habits are pretty bad. We'll go to dinner and have a 3-course meal, and an hour later, she wants to hit up a fast food drive-thru for a whole other meal. I don't care about her size. I'm a bigger girl myself. I care mainly about the sudden change in her appetite. On top of this, her hygiene has plummeted. I can tell because her clothes are always dirty, hair is oily, and honestly, she just stinks. Bad. She smells of BO, and as mean as this sounds, she carries an odor that you can smell a mile away. Clearly, she's going through something mentally, and it's not okay. She's never been the cleanest person, but it's never been this level of gross. I decided to pay her a home visit to check in on her and have a one-on-one talk away from the friend group to see if there's anything I can do to help her. When I arrived, her house was disgusting. There was trash and clothes everywhere, and she had apparently gotten a puppy, and there were pee spots and piles of poop everywhere. I tried not to judge and just asked her straight up what's going on. She said she's depressed and just doesn't have the energy to tidy up. My heart hurt for her, so I decided to spend the weekend cleaning her entire house, including doing all of her laundry and renting a shampooer to get the pee stains out of the carpet. I thought a clean house could take a load off her plate and help her get back into the groove of things. I also paid her rent for the month as she called into work so much that she was short. I told her I didn't mind doing these things, but the only thing I asked from her is to find a therapist and start counseling. She agreed and everything seemed to be good. I called and texted her every day to check on her, and she told me she had an appointment to start therapy and she was excited to get herself together. Well, a couple of weeks later, our mutual friend had a birthday dinner and she showed up in dirty clothes and smelled awful. Everyone was talking about her behind her back and felt bad for her. After the dinner, I pulled her to the side and asked her how therapy is going, and she told me she didn't feel comfortable with the therapist because he was male. I asked if she switched therapists then, and she said no, she just hadn't gotten to it yet. She goes on to tell me she never even went to the first appointment. This annoyed me, since I did so much to help her, and she won't do anything to help herself. So I decided to be blunt but empathetic at the same time. I told her point blank, you need to get help. I told her she smells bad and she looks bad, and I know she's not happy living her life like this. She actually agreed and started crying. I comforted her and volunteered to personally drive her to her next appointment, so that's what I did. Every week for almost 3 months, I drove her to her appointments. Fast forward, I had a work party and couldn't take her to therapy, but she assured me that she would go. She drives and has a car, and she's more than capable of doing it herself. I was just there for support. After going by herself to her appointment, she tells me that she's fine going by herself and thanked me for everything. Several weeks later, our friend group has another dinner and she shows up smelling awful again. This time it was breathtaking, and believe me, not in a good way. People were gagging, and other people outside our party were looking at us clearly disgusted. She's the only one who actually ate because everyone else had lost their appetite. After the dinner, we were all going to hit up a local club and have some drinks. No one wanted Kinley to go, but she overheard some of the girls talking and asked if she could just leave her car and ride with me. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to say screw anyone giving you a dirty look or has something negative to say about my friend, but even if I didn't care about those things, I didn't want to be trapped in a car with her smelling that strongly. I also didn't want my car to smell like her at all. I pull her to the side and tell her maybe she should get cleaned up first and then meet us out. She asks what I mean, so I decide to be blunt once more and tell her she has a bad smell right now. She immediately starts yelling and cussing me out. She said that I'm a bitch and she's tired of me talking to her like that, and I'm the only one who thinks that she stinks. This makes me mad because I've done so much to help her, and yet she calls me out of my name. Everyone else just gossiped about her behind her back, and I'm the only one who actually said anything to her face. So I turned around and asked the group, who was now staring at us since she started yelling, and asked who all thinks Kinley stinks. Everyone agreed she stunk. Kinley ends up muttering something under her breath before storming away and leaving. The next day I woke up to find text from Kinley and a few mutual friends. Kinley is telling me I'm an asshole and I embarrassed her. She said I had no right to treat her that way, and if I want to ever be friends again, then I need to apologize. A couple mutual friends agree, but for the most part, everyone is on my side. The two friends who were on Kinley's side always talked about her too, so I'm not really sure why they're mad on her behalf. They're not, they're just cowards. I don't feel like I should apologize, and I'm not sure I want to continue our friendship. I put a lot of effort into our friendship, but she never even asks how I'm doing. Maybe I'm just still mad and can't think clearly, but I think I'm completely justified. So, am I the astronaut? Let's go back to the question here. The question was, am I the astronaut for telling my friend she smells terrible and embarrassing her? I feel like these are two separate questions. For both, it's NTA. You didn't intentionally embarrass her. If anything, you were trying to save her from embarrassing herself. What I don't understand about this is that You were driving her to therapy consistently. While you were driving her, she was going consistently, but nothing ever changed. It's like she was just putting on the act since you were her chauffeur, which means, and her behavior at the end of this story means that she never valued what you were doing for her in a way that she should value what you're doing for her. She saw what you were doing for her as trying to control her. She saw you showing up and cleaning her house, taking care of her rent, and then driving her to her sessions as you stepping in and trying to be a mom, because she was incapable. And that probably created more resentment than anything, which is tough. And I'd like to say that, when she gets through this, she'll understand the value of all the work and the effort that you put into caring for her. And she'll have this big clarifying moment, and she'll come with this big apology. But I don't know that that's the case, because she has to actually want things to change for therapy to work. She has to actually want to get better. She has to want these things herself more than you do. You can't want it more than her. You know what I mean? It's not going to stick. At this point, you've helped all the way until it's done you harm. So I think there's a big step back that happens now. And you're like, okay, clearly she doesn't value my help at all. I value her as a friend, even when I can see that she can't see the state that she's in. You value her enough to be the friend that speaks up, which is huge. Like, you were the only person in her world who was willing to speak up and be a true friend to her. A true friend tells you when you got a boogie hanging out of your nose, right? This is the equivalent. You were the true friend. No one else was. Everybody else just wanted to talk shit. And the people who swung back her way after the polling of the audience to see if everybody stunk, they just didn't want to be dragged into something, so they're taking her side because it probably caused them personal pain because she was like, you bitches. No, you didn't do anything wrong here. You're the only one who actually cared. She has to care, though. This is the whole, you can lead a horse to water, you've got to teach her to fish. The whole parable, this is it. This is it. She has to want it herself. You can't want it for her. It was never your responsibility, but you felt beholden to her because she was such a good friend and you cared about her so much, right? At some point, enough pain happens for that to change, for her to get bumped out of that classification and for you to be like, okay, look, it's her problem. I'm not dealing with it now. So I think that's where you're at. It's not your responsibility. But she's going to find herself completely alienated now. But OP, you have to understand that this is her choice. You can try to be the guiding light as much as possible. At this point, feeling like she's probably feeling controlled and she doesn't value all the effort that you actually put into things, just being a lighthouse right now and saying, look, I love you and I'm here for you. When you're ready to talk or you're ready to put in the work to actually turn things around, let me know. I'll be here to help in any way that I can, but not until then. That's probably the play. To protect yourself, but also not drive her further into whatever this is that she is dealing with, because right now it seems like it's doing more harm than good. It is just a matter of space and time at this point. You care enough that it hurts you right now, so create a little bit of distance and protect yourself right now, because she's just lashing out and the help, the time, and the effort that you're putting in aren't doing any good. So protect yourself and give her time to just think about things. Maybe this encounter is enough pain to create some change on her end, but it's going to take some time to let her actually think about it and let it sink in. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with a spicy story for you. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Keeping My Name Change a Secret for 5 Years? So my 26 female parents decided to name my sister and I after American states. I have permission to share her name, Arizona, and I was called Pennsylvania at birth. Yeah, my parents are weird. I guess they thought geographical names were cool, but I think there's a huge difference between calling your child Arizona or Dakota or Paris versus Pennsylvania. They're massive Republicans and America lovers, so maybe they wanted to be patriotic. For as long as I can remember, everyone has called me Penn or Penny. That's what I figured, and that's cute. That works, right? My parents insisted that everyone was to call me by my full name, but most people could see how ridiculous my parents are. We insist that you call her Pennsylvania every time. Teachers in school are like, for real? Okay. Pennsylvania? Here. My sister, 28 female, didn't struggle as much with her name since Arizona just sounds better than Pennsylvania. And the Grey's Anatomy character Arizona Robbins made the name seem quite cool as we got older. Not gonna lie, that was the first person I thought of. I thought of Arizona from Grey's Anatomy. I realize I lose some kind of points in some kind of system for that, and that's fine. I was mocked and teased as a child in elementary school because of my parents' insistence on my full name. They would literally berate my teachers for letting me write Penny on my work or books. When I was 21, I got my name legally changed to Penelope. Cool. I get it. And you could still be Pen or Penny, right? Most people I had met in college had assumed that I went by Penny as a nickname for Penelope. Even my boyfriend's mother called me Penelope because I was too embarrassed to tell her that Penny was short for Pennsylvania. I kept it a secret from my parents and close family because I knew my parents would go mental and accuse me of disrespecting their choice. I'm getting married this summer to my lovely boyfriend, Tom, 31 male. And as you all know, you have to say your full name in your wedding ceremony when you're doing vows. I knew I had to fess up about the name change because the alternative would be hoping they kept quiet when they heard me say I Penelope instead of I Pennsylvania. Oh, at the wedding? Yeah. Best to squash that bug before it crawls onto your wedding day. I invited them over to my home and I tried to tell them in a really calm way that I had changed my name, but they freaked out. They said I was disrespectful, I was calling their choice dumb, etc. They are refusing to attend the wedding now. I know I'm not the asshole for changing my name, but my parents are particularly pissed about how I kept it hidden for 5 years before telling them. Most people I know agree with them. They think that I should have had the courage to be honest with them years ago so they would have had time to get used to it instead of me dropping the news on them 2 months before my wedding and causing all this drama. A few other family members have dropped out, and my poor sister, who is maid of honor, is having a nightmare with this. My parents believe they had the right to know much earlier. TLDR, parents think I'm the asshole for keeping this a secret. Am I the astronaut? Edit. I know I could ask the officiant priest to say Penny instead of Penelope, but I don't want to hide my real name on my wedding day. So the initial question here is, am I the astronaut for keeping my name change a secret for 5 years? No. No! No. You're a grown-ass woman. You're 26. It's your name. And they are fully aware of the pain associated with that name for the entirety of your life to this point. I say that. There's a caveat here. There's a caveat here. Where if you never, ever explained to them how much pain this name was causing you, maybe if you pretended to love it this whole time, never gave them any indication that you were unhappy with it and then just up and changed it, I can see the confusion there. It doesn't change the fact that you're a grown-ass woman and it's your name and you can do whatever the hell you want. They think you're disrespectful and you're calling their choice dumb. You are calling their choice dumb because in your eyes, it was dumb. It's your name. In your opinion and in your experience, their choice of a name caused you a life of pain that you are now choosing to rid yourself of. As long as they're aware of that, they get to be upset. They can feel whatever they want to feel. They don't get to protest your wedding. They don't get to berate you. They don't get to do anything other than feel. They could feel whatever the hell they want to feel. Getting the other family members involved to boycott the wedding, though, that is some weak-ass, cowardly shit. What the hell? I was going to change the story as I was reading it and be like, now I'm getting married to my lovely boyfriend, North Dakota. But no, decided to keep it as it. Didn't feel like the time. I mean, look, Arizona worked. And if she would have had a name that she could make work, cool. But she ended up choosing to go by Penny this whole time when she had the choice, no matter what, anyway. So parents, the change has really already happened. This is a formality. And that formality change has already happened too. You don't have a choice, so get on board if you want to be a part of your daughter's life. My message to the parents is, look, it doesn't matter. She has already made the choice and she has her reasons for doing it. Do you want to be a part of your daughter's big day? Do you want to be a part of her life? Assuming, what if they have kids afterwards? Are you going to let this name thing stand in the way of that? And what if you don't like the name that she gives her kids? You're going to boycott being a part of her life again? It seems like y'all are big history buffs. You might want to dive into the history of families who take this strong of a stance with their children who are getting ready to start a big chapter of their lives and see how well that relationship worked out. Success leaves breadcrumbs. To the parents here, the choice that you're making right now could affect you having relationships with your daughter and her partner and her eventual children, and maybe even their children. How much are you going to regret sticking to your guns and being upset about something that you have no control over? That's the other part of this. You have no control over it. You feel like you've been disrespected. Okay. Now what? Because the world's still going to spin. Your daughter is still going to live her life. Nothing's going to stop because you're butthurt. Or if you would have just picked a cooler name back then, you would have been fine. There were so many other options available. And OP, we completely understand why you made the choice that you did. And it still works with the nickname that is at least an homage to the OG name. So they should be grateful that you didn't completely abandon it and become Princess Consuela Banana Hammock. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one comes from the AITA subreddit and is titled, "Am I the astronaut for thinking my husband should have had my back in this situation?" My husband and I started dating around 3 years ago. At the time we were dating, his best friend was a woman. We'll call her Megan. I tried to befriend Megan, but from the beginning she was icy to me, even rude. She would constantly minimize and disrespect our relationship, call it merely carnal, and ignore me while attempting to have my now husband focus his attention on her and ignore me. She would invite him places and make it very clear that I was not to be included. When our relationship became serious, Megan talked negatively about me to mutual friends and basically cut him off as a friend if he was choosing to be with me. Anytime since then, she will completely turn her back on me and refuse to speak to me. And your partner here is just allowing this to happen, allowing you to be openly disrespected. I'm going to red flag that. Fast forward 3 years, we are married now. Last night, we were invited to a trivia night with a group of friends. An hour into the night, who showed up? Megan. We did not know she would be there. Of course, she would not even say hello, wouldn't look my way, was rude and dismissive yet again. As we were getting ready to leave, my husband and I stood up and began walking around to say our goodbyes. He walks up to Megan, gives her a big hug, and kisses her cheek. I'm right behind him, and she literally turned her back and walked away, refusing to even say goodbye or anything. Once again, rude and disrespectful to me. My husband said absolutely nothing to her about her behavior yet again toward me. Red flag again for hubby. You can't control other people. Like, she's obviously being very, very, very childish. She's being extremely childish. But him being an enabler now and basically giving her the thumbs up like, yeah, that's completely acceptable to do. You keep doing that. That is the problem that we are focused on right now. I was really frustrated and angry. I believe my husband's actions allow her to believe that she can be kind or friendly to him and rude or dismissive to me, and he is okay with that. He could have said anything to her like, it's not okay for you to be rude to my wife while accepting toward me, or he could have just walked away without hugging or kissing her cheek when he saw how she treated me/us yet again just because she cannot stand our relationship. He thinks I'm wrong, but I believe the message he is giving is that she can continue to treat me this way. And he will continue to turn his cheek to it, both literally and figuratively. I really need clarity on this. Am I the astronaut for feeling this way? Again, the initial question was, am I the astronaut for thinking my husband should have had my back in this situation? You are not the astronaut, madam. This is a big problem. When you have a partner, that person is your partner. Your first allegiance lies there. You don't allow people to be disrespectful to them. And if they are being disrespectful and if you can't put a stop to that, then you remove the threat. You remove yourself from the threatening environment or the thing that threatens your spouse. You do not subject them to it willingly. You do not reward the motherfucker that is doing it. Brozo. I know, that might be the first time I've dropped the MF bomb, Tony Spark. I saw the eyeballs come up. He'd be like, oh, okay. You get the Brozo award here, bub. Kissing the cheek of the woman who spits in the face of your wife is like filing for divorce. You have to understand that is that level of disrespect. And if you are not just allowing but rewarding that behavior, you are an accomplice to it. You're not just an enabler, you are an accomplice to the disrespect that this friend of yours is showing your wife. You are showing your wife just as much, if not more, disrespect, and you are lucky that she hasn't left your ass yet. You better turn this frickin' ship around. You dumbass. The friend is obviously a full-blown ASCON 1 and just a child. And guess what? Hubby, you're right there with her. Now, if you hadn't confronted her because you were afraid to confront her, but you just kept your distance and you just, no contact with her and you saw her there, but you didn't really talk and it was no contact and you just took her out of your life, that would be one thing. That's not what you did, though. You rewarded her. You continue rewarding her. I mean, they haven't seen her a lot, but it doesn't matter. Allowing someone to treat your spouse like this and rewarding them for it is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We gave hubby ask on one and the friend ask on one, which is an obvious one. OP, you were NTA here. I think it goes beyond thinking that your hubby should have had your back in this situation, though. I think you need to look at his rewarding of this behavior. That, to me, brings up many, many, many more questions. Many more questions, like, why? Why would he be so lenient with her disrespect toward me? Is there potentially another reason that he's allowing her to treat me like this? I'd start digging into it. There's something there. If he doesn't want to turn this ship around, that is him signing the death certificate of your relationship. That's my opinion here. But I would start asking the question, why? Why does he think this is okay? What gives her a license to be disrespectful openly to you? And not just a little bit, a lot of it. And him to be like, oh, it's totally fine. Nope. There's a reason. And I think the reason is they might have, at least at one point, been a little flingy. And now she resents you for it because she might have had a chance with him had you not shown up into the picture. Or maybe it was a little flingy thing that happened during your relationship. And she's still opposed. She treats you like shit. He can't say shit lest she out him. Could be. Could be. I'm not saying that is what it is, but there's got to be something. There's got to be something there. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder yet again with another Reddit story for you. This one comes from the aita subreddit and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Lying to My Girlfriend About Buying Her a Car? Michaela, 22 female, and I, 25 male, met in college and have been dating for several years. We have since both graduated, and while she has struggled to find work in her degree field, together we are doing quite well. This bothers her a bit since she is very independent and doesn't like feeling like a burden. I do what I can to help her feel independent, but I also want to give her the life she deserves. We have found a compromise in that she is okay with the gifts because a gift has no strings attached. This was really tested about a year ago when her car was totaled. She had no way to replace it and had to have a way to get to work and school daily. I let her borrow my car for a couple of weeks while we figured out what we were going to do long term. I was happy for her to drive my car as long as she needed, but she hated it. Every day she felt like she was taking from me and giving nothing in return. I can and have named 100 reasons why that's not true, but she feels like that anyway. One night she came home in tears and said she couldn't handle being responsible for something that isn't hers anymore. So we decided we would sit down and pick out a car online for her that night. After narrowing down her options, she fell in love with one that had low mileage and great fuel efficiency. When we went through pre-approval, her heart sank. The monthly payment was way out of her price range. I offered to split the payment and she immediately refused. She needed it to be her responsibility only. So I said, okay, what if I buy it outright and make it a gift to you? She felt like I was mocking her. I told her I was serious and to at least sleep on it. We talked about it more in the morning and I reassured her that it would be 100% hers and that I wouldn't sign anything and her name would be the only one on it. She reluctantly agreed. I told her I would finish up the forms online while she was at work and we could go pick it up together when it was ready. When I got to the final steps, I selected the monthly payments. I figured if she doesn't know, she can't feel bad about me making them. And if I ever needed to, I could pay it off immediately. We went to pick up the car and as soon as she saw it, her reluctance turned to joy. She was ecstatic. And I felt justified in my secret. Everything worked out perfectly. Fast forward to last week, she comes home visibly upset, and before I can ask what's wrong, she throws the folder of her car's paperwork down on the counter. I say what she already knows and confess that I've been making payments the past year. We get into a huge argument, and she spends the night at her parents' house. She has not come home since. I am prepared for this to be the end of our relationship, so I paid off the remainder of the loan yesterday. I tried contacting her so she knows she can decide what her next step is without being dependent on me, but she still won't take my calls. I guess she'll find out when she gets the title in the mail. Am I the astronaut?
No. What?
How dare you, OP? How dare you? The only way that this could happen the way that she wanted it to happen was to pay cash. Sorry that you didn't have like $20K or whatever it was just laying around to buy her car and you did the monthly payment route, and that's the part she's pissed about because there's a lien on it. That's the issue. There's a lien on it, which means the title isn't in her name yet, and she wants it to be 100% her responsibility, which to me doesn't, the math ain't mathing. that doesn't make it her investment anymore. She hasn't done any more work for it. If anything, it's a red flag for you, OP, because if she cares about the title being in her name that much, it's like she wants the ability to keep that car if you guys break up. That's her worry here. And if you're comfortable with that worry being the thing, cool. But that is very sus to me. That screams instability. It doesn't make any sense. How dare you buy her a car and make payments on it instead of just paying for it in whole? How dare you? My goodness. And her to get pissed off enough, like to come home and slam the folder down and feel like she got disrespected by this. I'm so confused on your behalf here. I'm also confused about how you at this point are like, I'm prepared for this to be the end of our relationship. So I went ahead and paid off the car so that she can keep it when our relationship ends. What the is happening? What is happening? Like, okay, somebody buys you a car and they're making payments on it instead of buying it outright. And you'd be mad about that? Not buying it. What made her look at the paperwork anyway? Maybe she found it in the glove box. I'm guessing that's what happened, because a lot of times when you pick up a new car, all your paperwork, they'll put in the folder with like the manuals and stuff and have it in the glove box. So she probably saw, she didn't want anything to be in his name at all. And her narrative for that was she wanted it to be all her responsibility. The flip side of that coin is she didn't want your name on anything so she could walk away at any point and keep it. No matter what, I don't give a shit about the deception. He did it this way to make it easier to pull off. She still got exactly what she wanted. She's still getting exactly what she wanted. Even though he thinks this relationship is getting ready to end, he's paying off the car so she can keep it. Nothing changes for her. For her to get mad that he's doing it a different way, like, how dare you buy my gift in a way that I didn't approve of or that we didn't discuss ahead of time? Like, that screams some massive entitlement to me.
I see so many comments that keep saying trauma or that she has past financial abuse, but if she had this much trauma, why would she have ever allowed him to purchase a car for her in the first place? Like, if she knew that this was going to be a trigger for her, then she should have never allowed herself to be put in this situation.
She wouldn't have. If that were the case and she had been financially abused, she would not allow someone to buy this for her. Because even though her name wasn't going to be on it at all, this being a gift from someone that was a massive gift would still feel like a form of control. That doesn't feel like that to me.
I feel like that she needs to get a hold of her trauma if that's going to cause this many issues in her life. But you can't be okay with someone buying you a car and them doing it the way that works for them, whether it was to build his credit or whatever. But you can't say you didn't buy me a car in the right way, so now I'm leaving and I'm going to my parents. Like, that just looks like you were looking for a way out. Who in the hell pulls out their car paperwork and goes over it like a year into it? Like, that doesn't even make sense to me.
It's still a gift. It's still a gift. Just because he's still making payments on it doesn't mean it's not a gift, right?
I think she was trying to sell it.
How many engagement rings have payments made on them well into the engagement? Maybe she was trying to sell it. Maybe she was getting it evaluated for something like that. And maybe she found out she didn't have the ability to. Maybe you guys are right. Maybe it is a financial abuse thing and that set her off. To me, there are too many things that counter that. Her allowing it to happen in the first place. And yeah, he had to talk her into it. He didn't try very hard. It all happened in one night. Like that, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying the act of her to get upset enough that she got a car that he was still making payments on instead of it being owned outright and him just gifting the title over to her. If she's going to leave him for that, then they don't need to be together, because she is going to abuse him with this act over and over and over again. And maybe you guys are right. And maybe this was triggering for her in some way that doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe that is the case. That does not change the fact that these two people should not be together, because you have somebody with the purest of intentions here who still somehow managed to trigger her. There is not another person out here who is going to be this pure and this providing in this way. I think to be pissed off about this to the point where she's leaving indicates to me that she thinks there's someone else out there who would have done it the other way. It's a bit of a stretch. I don't buy it. If you guys do, I mean, we're never going to agree fully on everything. As a reminder, we each have our own opinions, and I see life as the sum of all my experiences and the crazy shit that I've seen. And likewise for you, we see things differently. So we'll chalk this one up to that. I'm glad to see that we have some differing opinions here, because it creates some great discussion. She could be playing games with him. Did she take the car when she left LMB? Yeah, she drove it over to her parents, and now She's going to receive the title in the mail because he paid it off because he assumes their relationship is done. So she gets what she wants either way. Because apparently she wanted the car more than she wanted him. Oof. Hey, it's Dusty Thunder again with another Reddit story for you. This one comes from the aita subreddit and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Refusing to Sleep in a Separate Bed When Invited on a Holiday by My Boyfriend's Parents? For a bit of background, I, female 19, have been going out with my boyfriend Dale, male 20, for just over 2 years. We met in high school and have had a great relationship. We've managed to keep our relationship going despite the challenge of moving away to separate colleges, and if anything, it's helped our relationship grow stronger. This summer, Dale is going on holiday with his parents and younger sister. Very graciously, they invited me to join them. I get on well with his family, so I was excited to say yes. However, when I was told about the plans, Dale told me that his parents insisted that we would be staying in separate rooms. I was confused at this. We're used to sharing a bed whenever we visit each other at college, and it's never been an issue before. I asked him about this, and he said it's just something his parents feel more comfortable about. As I felt confident enough to do so, I messaged his mom about this and said I thought it was more appropriate that Dale and I shared rooms, and I didn't want to raise expenses by booking another room. Quite bluntly, I was told that separate rooms were being booked because they weren't comfortable with us sharing a bed on a family holiday, nor did they consider it appropriate. As I didn't want to feel infantilized, I replied that if this was the case, there would be no reason for me to go because it sounded unenjoyable, and as an adult, I should be able to share a bed with my boyfriend. Oof, probably not the right thing to say. You just said it would be unenjoyable, like the only thing that you were going for was to have sex with their son. That's what you just told them. It seems as if my invite has now been retracted. Dale is annoyed at me, said I've ruined the holiday, this isn't a hill to die on, and I could have sucked it up over 10 days. I feel like I'm justified as we're adults. We have sex. It shouldn't be taboo, and I don't see the issue. I want other people's opinions because now I don't know if I'm being too stubborn. Am I the astronaut? Look what I get it. I get your feelings on the matter. However, let's look at this a different way. You have people who are going to pay for you to go on vacation and be there with your boyfriend. Having to sleep in a different room, a different bed, because they're old school and they're not comfortable with you sharing a room is a small price to pay for a 10-day, all expenses paid vacation. Ain't it? If anything, these were their wishes because it's what they felt comfortable with, and it was disrespectful to them. Whether they're right or not, it doesn't matter. They're the hosts. They're paying for it. This is what they're comfortable with. And they said, if you want to come, this is what we're comfortable with. If you guys were married, I guarantee you it wouldn't be an issue. You'd be sleeping in the same room. But they're old school. Those are their values. And they are the hosts on this trip who are inviting you to come for free. The fact that you bypassed your partner here and messaged his mom directly, basically telling her rule was stupid, was a big breach of protocol and a big breach of trust when it comes to your partner. Dale is annoyed at you. Good. Dale should be annoyed at you. Should be. It doesn't matter if you don't agree with it. You still have to respect it enough to attempt to be understanding. You still have to be respectful enough to be able to have a conversation and just say something more than, it's not going to be enjoyable unless I get to be in bed with him. Think about how that's being received by the other party here. I think you've got a personality here who wants what they want and wants the world to just deal with it and isn't thinking about how she is affecting others at all. Not able to see from another's perspective at all. Unempathetic. Yeah, but it's like an inability to be able to see from another person's or maybe it is just not giving a shit. Maybe it is just apathy. That's a good point. She's 19. And for an entitled 19-year-old, this is like the script, right? This is age has a lot to do with this. Hopefully this is an experience where it's a learning moment for her. I hope that Dale takes the time to explain to her why this was wrong and that she learns from it and learns to be more respectful later on when it comes to the parents of your significant other. I hope that's the case here. Age definitely makes it more understanding. Not to mention starting off on the wrong foot with a possible mother-in-law. You burned that bridge right off the rip. Just decided to be like, I really don't give a shit about this relationship, even though they're paying for me to go on this vacation. Hi, Dale's mom. I really am only going to be there to have sex with your son. So if we can't sleep in the same room, I think I'm out. Cool. with a cake story for you. This one goes like this. My husband was willing to fall on a cake that I made, even though he hates sticky things. This title is very confusing to me.
Yeah, it's a nice heartwarming cake story, kind of.
Heartwarming.
But it's funny. It's kind of funny, too.
The title is My Husband Was Willing to Fall on a Cake I Made, even though he hates sticky things. Okay? This was 8 years ago. I, 26 female, and my later on husband, 26 male, were invited to his brother's wedding reception. I want to preface this by letting you all know my husband is so not cool with sticky things, like treading the line of phobia. My mother-in-law loves baking and decorating cakes. She goes way over the top with her cakes, though. If you could think of any cake someone at home has made and times it by professional, that's her cakes. She is amazing when it comes to cake. The newest techniques, the best recipes, the coolest gadgets, and the biggest sprinkle stash you've ever seen. If there's any type of cake you like, she can make it. If you have a specific theme, she can do it. And I'm not just blowing smoke here. The woman finds reasons to make cakes for everyone because she loves it so much. Well, anyways, she heard I was a cake decorator once, and I like to bake and decorate cakes and cupcakes as a hobby. I mean, like real low-key. I'd make a cake for someone here or there as a surprise, but never as professional as she did. I mean, I worked for a big box store. She asked if I'd like to make the groom's cake as she was already making the wedding cake, and I said sure. I just wanted to help where they needed me. We all had some sort of job to do. I might as well make a small groom's cake. Small? No, she asked me to make a football helmet cake. Do you know how hard it is to make a round cake? But I, never being one to back down from a challenge, said I could do it. I was bluffing, but it was a month away. How hard could it be to take a month to make a football helmet? Really hard. That's how hard it is. I tried out different homemade white cake recipes, a cake I had never made, and none worked. All did not turn out right. She sent me a recipe for homemade fondant. Guess what it did? Turned to a rock. The cake was supposed to have a raspberry filling. I tried 3 different recipes. 2 turned out to be soup. 1 turned to candy. I was not on a roll. I tried making different style face masks out of straws, skewers, all sorts of things, but they all fell. It just wasn't working. The week of the reception, I broke down and bought the Krusty's white cake mix, 2 jars of Smucker's jam, and 3 tubs of Duncan Hines white icing. I ordered the football team's logo from a bakery and slapped it all together, with a kicker's bar laying at the bottom. I stood back and looked at my helmet of a cake and got very disheartened. It did not look very professional. My logo was good on one side, but I forgot to order one logo to be pointed backwards for the other side, and it looked like a baby who lays on their back too much. And to top it off, I couldn't get the store-bought fondant to stick to the straw for the face guard. We got to the reception. I'm walking up to the church and he's carrying my atrocity of a cake. I took one look at my then boyfriend, now husband, and say with tears in my eyes, I can't do it. This cake looks bad. I didn't use the fondant like your mom wanted. It's a store-bought cake mix. It just doesn't look good. Without hesitation, he says, you have 10 to 20 seconds till my dad reaches us. If you really don't want to present this cake, I will fall over it by the time we get to the steps and tell everybody how beautiful it was. I wanted so badly to say yes, but I just couldn't. I just shook my head no. Better just to let them know who I am now. Maybe she won't ask me to make any cakes in the future. Is that so big of a deal? So we carried on while I sucked my tears back in. After we cut the cakes, people kept telling me how delicious my cake was, and one person even asked me for the raspberry filling recipe. I couldn't lie. I told them I tried so many but all failed, and in the end, went with a brand name like Smucker's. It has to be good. Side note, the best piece of advice I ever got came from my father-in-law after this. If someone else doesn't step up and you do, it doesn't matter what it looks like. You're the only one who stepped up and tried, and that alone is to be valued. Hell yeah, OP. Hell yeah. That is fantastic. He did protect the cake. He was willing to fall on it if it meant that much to her, and I'm sure he had reassured her up to this point that it wasn't as bad as she was thinking it was, and it was beautiful and all the things he was supposed to say. But being willing to fall on it, and I'm sure ruin a suit, walking into a wedding reception, that's a big deal. I would absolutely do that. I would absolutely do that. I mean, I wouldn't enjoy getting it all over me, but I would do it for you. Speaking of suits, if you've never seen Candy Thunder and I gussied up, we actually had an event last week. We got all fancy. We got fancied up and we went to an event, and there's a few pictures on Insta. You can actually go take a look. It's one of the few times, like maybe one time per year, that we actually get dolled up. Hey, and to give some feedback on the story, we have the birthday boy, Tony Spark. I'm doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Spark!
Well, I think that not only does the hubby, but the father-in-law, and I gotta say, when I was reading this story, I really thought that there was going to be I just put all that back in the box. I just put all this confetti back in the box and cleaned it up. Anyway, when I was reading it, I really thought that I was going to read like the mother-in-law was going to, be like, oh, look at this ugly cake. I would have done so much better. But there was none of that. I just thought it was nice and refreshing to find a wholesome cake story where it all ended up okay. It all was great. And you know what? Hubby and father-in-law and everybody, they get one of these. They're all DFHB approved because you know what? That was great. That's supportive all the way around. And at the time it was her boyfriend. I wonder if that was like the moment where she was like, I'm going to marry this guy, because she said at the time that was her boyfriend. Now it's her husband. Maybe that was it. It was the moment. That was the moment. This guy is willing to fall on a cake, walking into a wedding, and he was like, I'll do it.
He was willing to take the fall literally.
Literally. What a nice guy. What a great guy. And apparently the cake was good. I mean, and like the father, I do like what the father-in-law says. Hey, you stepped up when nobody else did. You said you'd do it. Good for you. She could have threw in the towel at the end and been like, I can't do it. Called in reinforcements, done something. But she was like, by God, I said I was going to do it, and I'm going to do it.
Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with a spicy Reddit story for you. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for giving away my dad and my sister's tickets to my graduation ceremony and telling them not to bother showing up? I, 18 female, have my high school graduation ceremony this Wednesday. It was sent to my parents in an email that I will be giving a speech that day as my grades made me valedictorian of my school's class of 2024, and I was excited to do so. My school made us reserve and buy tickets to the ceremony weeks in advance, and I picked mine up on the 26th. The problem started at dinner when I told my family I picked up the tickets for my graduation day and would keep them with me until the day of just to make sure they don't get lost. My dad told me that he and my sister had plans for an hour before the ceremony, but that my mom would be there the whole time and that they'd try to be there for the after party. I was honestly shocked for a moment before starting to laugh, assuming they weren't serious. When I realized they were actually not joking, I'll admit I was a bit mad. I'm usually a very shy and non-confrontational person, even around my family, but I started yelling at my dad and sister, asking if they were seriously ditching my graduation ceremony. I told them that the after party was useless to attend and that all the pictures of the graduates with their families would be taken at least 2 hours before the ceremony. They said it's fine and we could take our own pictures the day after my graduation, but I got up and left dinner. Over the weekend, I saw a few people on my class group chat complain that they didn't get enough tickets, so I offered up the 2 tickets I had and met up with the girl from my class to give them to her. And even though I told her not to, she actually paid me the original price for them. When the topic of graduation was brought up by my dad today during lunch, I told him that I gave the other 2 tickets away and only my mom would be attending, so they shouldn't bother with the after party. He got mad and asked why I would do that, to which I replied that I don't see the point in wasting money on tickets if they're not going to use them. My dad blew up on me, saying I was acting like a spoiled brat, and it's not like I'll die if he and my sister are a bit late to my graduation. I spoke to a few people about it, my friends and my grandma. My friends said good riddance, and if they consider their plans more important, they can have fun. But my grandma said that while she understands my side, I shouldn't have given away the tickets just to spite my dad, because maybe he would have changed his mind and gone on time. So I'm looking for a non-biased opinion. Am I the astronaut? Edit for info. The plan my dad and sister have is some sleepover with her and her friend group in the north, around a 2-hour drive from where we live. The parents didn't want to leave a bunch of under 16-year-old girls alone that far, so everyone's parents were also going for supervision, apart from my mom, who was going to be at my graduation. And here to give us some feedback, ladies and gentlemen, we have the one, the only, Candy Thunder.
Oh my God, it's Candy Thunder.
Hi.
Middle of the mat there.
Sorry.
Young lass.
What else do we need to say besides NTA? How are you going to miss like a once in a lifetime thing for your child in order to go to a sleepover? Like those are not even equal at all. So I don't understand this. Like, and it says that other parents are going to be there. So could he not take his daughter and then have someone come back like with another family?
Yeah, or just leave earlier, right? Like, I mean, if they're doing a sleepover thing, that means it's earlier in that day, so their departure time is X time. Leave earlier. Make it work. Yeah. The only grain of salt in any of this for me is that it makes it seem like like she sprung the announcement for like the timing of everything, when the event was, even what day it was,
Right.
like last minute on them. And if it's communicated way late, then yeah, that causes some pain to move. But if you get invited and you know what time it is, you move heaven and earth. And you can't be the only one in that friend group that is going to have the sleepover that is affected by this, right? There has to be another kid.
I mean, I guess if they're coming from different places, but it doesn't matter. Like, this is your child's graduation. Sister should be there, mom should be there, dad should be there. I don't even think that should be a question. Like, if this was us and one of our kids were graduating, like, no, well, you can't go to the sleepover. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We'll make it up to you.
Sorry.
You can do something a different time, but this weekend is about your sibling. Like, that's just how it has to be. And like, this child worked their ass off to become valedictorian. That's not an easy.
Valedictorian. It's not
That's
like
not
they
an
just
easy
skated
thing.
by.
Yeah,
Ugh.
they put in some time and effort to become that, to be the best in their class, and you effing show up for that child, even if they're just graduating, even if they're not valedictorian. They are graduating high school, which is one of the biggest things you do in your life, and you show up. This is just lazy.
Now, do you think her giving the tickets away, which she did receive money for, but she was giving them away. She didn't expect to receive money for them. Do you think she was right in giving them away?
Yep.
It was symbolic. It was symbolic to say these clearly have no value to you, so I gave them away. I would rather have someone who wants to be there be there.
And this dad damaged his relationship with his child for the rest of their lives, because this is not
100%.
something.
Yeah.
Like, this is not something that they're going to forget.
Yeah, this was a choice. And yeah, even though those plans were already laid, it doesn't matter. Like there are priorities to things. Things get trumped. When you find out about this, you undo other plans, or you modify them at the minimum. We'll make that official for OP with the NTA. Let's talk about dad for a minute. I mean, obviously sister, she's the younger sister. Like, she's not a deciding factor in this because she's not making the decisions.
Right.
Where would you put dad here?
For missing your child's graduation when your child is valedictorian,
Climbing all the way up.
You're actively choosing not to show up for your child. You're ASCON one.
If
You can come back from that, but you're ASCON one. And now I guess it's sold out if that person couldn't buy more tickets, right?
Yeah. Well, I think he doubled down and probably climbed up to the one position when he said that she was acting like a spoiled brat. And it's not like she'll die if he and the sister are a bit late. Like, whenever someone you love is telling you how they feel and telling you that there's a problem there, making them feel completely unseen and unheard is typically not the best play. So to say you're overreacting, you're acting like a spoiled brat, it's typically not the way to find a solution. It doesn't seem like dad was interested in finding any solutions here. He was just...
Also, I think dads with daughters teach their daughter what to expect, like what to
out
accept.
Of a man?
Yeah, if out of a relationship, out of a partner. But I think that he just told them that they shouldn't expect people to show up for them, because if you expect people to show up for you, then you're a spoiled brat. Dad up, and he did it like in the worst way possible.
There was a question in there. Does anybody find it weird that the dad is going with a bunch of teenage girls to a sleepover? It sounds like a camp out, but I didn't know how old the younger sister was. How old is she?
I don't know that.
We don't really get into it. Yeah.
Hopefully the dad sees his wrongs and makes them right. 16 is said.
She's 16? Okay. Well, she's older than I thought she was. Yeah, I think the dad's reaction cements everything for me too.
100%.
It is where...
So he got called on his BS and immediately turned it around on her and tried to make her feel like shit when he was the one that was not showing up. That's a straight up ASCON one offense for me.
There's no way
to flip that and try to make her the bad guy for giving away tickets that you said you didn't need.
Yeah.
You sailed straight there. Flew,
Flew.
paddled.
Yeah. It's space. So you can do like all those things, really. Kind of float.
Doggy paddle.
Yeah.
Oh, that's this. I don't know what this is.
That's the breaststroke.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Obviously, we're a swimming family. we're competitive swimmers there. Yeah. So we've got dad at 1. We've got OP at NTA here.
Yes.
Oof.
And
all right.
Hope she kicks ass at her graduation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be tough. This is probably an indicator of how their adult relationship is going to be as well. So I wouldn't be relying on dad for too much. And by that, I mean anything. Rusty Thunder again with another Reddit story for you. This one comes from the AITA subreddit and is titled, Am I the astronaut for letting someone skip my bachelorette party and not telling them new details that would have changed their mind? Apologies in advance, as I had a hard time writing the situation in a single sentence. My brother has been trying to push me to get closer to his girlfriend, Mary, together 3 months. I've done my best to get to know her, initiating dinners, trying her hobbies with her, etc., but we honestly don't really get along. I personally think she's a snob. She's complimented my designer bag, but took the compliment back when she found out it was thrifted. As in, literally said, yikes, I take that back. While she thinks I lack culture and sophistication, also something she's mentioned when trying to convince me to do a makeover with her. She sounds like Peach. This issue is that I'm getting married this year and my brother has been really trying to get her involved. I put my foot down with the bridal party since they've only been dating for 3 months and I don't know her, but he insisted that I invite her to the bachelorette. It was originally supposed to be super low-key and local. Mary tried to push for something more extravagant, but it really wasn't in my budget. When I wouldn't budge, she told us something came up that weekend and she couldn't go. Oh, so sorry. Sorry to see you go. I was later surprised by my friends who had come together to organize a lavish weekend through favors and points, i.e. one of my friend's aunts works at a spa, so she was able to get discounted packages. Another used her travel points to book a suite, etc. I was not told about this and was truly and happily surprised. The issue is that Mary found out when we posted pictures and she was pissed. My brother is now saying that I deliberately left her out, but she told me she was busy. Mary said that if she had known what the weekend was like, though, she would have rearranged her schedule. I feel conflicted because I suspect that my friends didn't tell Mary on purpose, but they're claiming they made these plans after Mary bowed out and didn't reach back out since she was busy. My brother still says I should have double-checked and made more of an effort to let Mary know my plans, so I figured I'd ask the internets for their thoughts. Am I the astronaut? No, you are not the astronaut, and I need you to hear me when I say this. Your brother knows that she's wrong. Your brother knows that you are not in the wrong here, but your brother wants his own personal pain to end because she is not letting this go, and she is just hanging on to it, right? This is not about the girlfriend. It's not the girlfriend's thing. And the fact that she got pissed when she found out how lavish it was shows you how shallow of a biznatch this girl really is. She is a bizzo. I'm gonna give that. She's getting the bizzo award here because what the hell? It's not a positive character sign for her to rearrange her schedule for something fancy, but see absolutely no value in the low-key thing that you had planned, OP. If anything, she showed her ass more. And your brother knows this. Your brother knows it. He just wants her to stop bitching at him. He pulled a real peach here. She seems super pleasant. No, this is not your fault. No, she would have ruined the weekend anyway, I'm telling you right now. And look at it this way. When your friends were like, hey, this is super low key, how can we come together to provide a solution, to do something more? She didn't give a shit about finding a way to contribute and find a way to make it better. She just said, I'm out. I've got better things to do. And then got pissed off when it got better and she wasn't re-engaged. Screw her. Never invite her to anything ever again. I'm glad that she's pissed because now that means that you guys won't have to fake nice to each other for the rest of your lives. That's it. Tell your brother she is his problem. That's it. She's his problem. Not your problem anymore, OP. Not yours. She's a bizzo. He got himself a bizzo. You want to know what bro does for a living, Julie? Oh, brother's rich? Yeah, my gosh. I mean, she's entitled for sure. Now, this is not the kind of person that you would have wanted to be a part of your day. Your brother pressuring you to invite her to the bachelorette in the first place is simply because she was pressuring him to pressure you to make her part of this thing. This woman is not going to add any kind of value to your life at all. None. I'm taking this approach because it's your bachelorette party. It's your day. It is your thing. It has nothing to do with her at all. And your friends would have hated her. You did everyone a favor. Update 5 years later, my brother doesn't understand why he and his bougie wife are excommunicated from the entire family. No one will speak to him. He can't figure out why. Good gravy. Oh, here she is, ladies and gentlemen. It's the camera's that way, kid. Hi, Bugs. All right.
Hi, Mom.
You say hi, Tony.
Hi.
Say hi, Uncle Tony. Say happy birthday, Tony.
Happy birthday, Tony.
Good job. Did you have fun at school today?
Yeah.
Did you have fun playing with your friends?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get to play outside?
Yeah.
All right. Nice. You played with Bubbles
At Grammy's house.
at Grammy's house? Well, that's awesome. Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a hug. I'll put you back down. Love you. There you go, Boogie Bear. Back to close this story out here. Am I the astronaut for letting someone skip my bachelorette party and not telling them the new details that would have changed their mind? You didn't know the details. So no for that, but also the way that your brother approached this, he's at least here as a 2. He might even be a little bit further, but I'm going to put him at a 2 because I know he's getting chirped at in one ear this whole time, but he made this choice. He chose her. Him pressuring you to do something that he knew was going to be a detriment to your day might actually climb him up to a 1. Not cool, bro. He was willing to basically sacrifice you to make her happy multiple times. That's going to be a recurring theme, and he's going to burn bridges with the entire family trying to make her happy. Like, she saw no value in spending time with you, OP, or your friends. She only saw value after they made it bougie.
All right, everybody. I haven't read a story since the 24-hour live. So this story is from the AITA subreddit, and it is, am I the astronaut for asking newer lake friends who don't understand boundaries to respect them because it feels like they're stalking us? Yikes. My husband and I have a lake home. We've been there almost 4 years. In that time, we've become good friends with a few other households on our corner of the lake. Some of our group is quite outgoing, always meeting new people in our lake community and being welcoming, us included. Everyone's awesome, but one couple has become problematic. Last year, we met Roger and Helene, who have a seasonal cottage on a different part of the lake. They're around on weekends. They check in with us and our friend group when in town or stop by unannounced. This is fine. What's hard is they want to get together all of the time and don't seem to accept it when we tell them we are busy. They get in their boat, drive over to our area, and anchor straight in front of our properties. It makes everyone uncomfortable. They'll stay there for an hour plus. If we're working in the yard, they'll repeatedly go by, telling us to quit working to join them. Other times, when at the campfire, they'll dock their boat on one of our docks, then join us at the fire without the invitation. They'll also drive or walk over from their place to check up on us, even after being told we're not available. When we're in our boat, they'll drive theirs over and say, let's tie up the boats so we can hang out on the water together. Normally it's fine, except for when we're hosting guests. We've struggled with how to say no. My husband and I would never say, let's tie up to other boaters. We would swing by, say hello, then see if we're invited. If not, we move along. That's protocol, but it's lost on Roger and Helene. Recently, out-of-town friends who have been to the lake a few times declined our invitation to visit, citing that they don't like the visits being interrupted by the neighbors, specifically Roger and Helene. Ugh. Our core friend group is very respectful about visitors. We knew who was the issue. Our corner of the lake complains about these two all the time and has struggled with how to handle their constant orbiting. Having a visit invitation turned down because of them made me extra annoyed. So, 2 weeks ago, we were on our pontoon with friends when Roger and Helene showed up and said, let's tie up. We'd already told them we were busy via text when they checked in, but apparently they just couldn't resist coming out when they saw us. Being extra annoyed, I finally spoke up. Sorry, we're good, we're entertaining, we'll have to get together another time. Later, I got an angry text from Helene. She said I was rude and embarrassed them. I texted back saying I was sorry they felt that way, but they needed to respect when we're busy and that at times my husband and I felt stalked. I haven't heard from them since. A couple of our core friends say I shouldn't have said anything, that their stalking isn't a big deal. They're nice. This is surprising and upsetting me. I thought they'd understand why I spoke up, plus I didn't drag any of them into it. Am I wrong? Am I the astronaut? So I don't know. I feel like when I read this, I kind of related to it a little bit. We're very lucky where we're at on the lake. Like we have our whole neighborhood. We're all friends with each other. And like the dynamic we have is a lot like this of, hey, if somebody's having a fire, campfire, somebody's doing that. If you drive by, just come on over. And most of the time we just send out a text. We have one big group chat with everybody in the whole neighborhood, which is, I think, kind of cool. But it's always, hey, what's everybody doing? Or, hey, there's a fire over here, or we're going here. But then sometimes like there's times where you don't do that. Like if we have a bunch of people, a bunch of company, we know that we're not going to go over to the neighbor's house and show up for dinner or show up for a fire without either asking or being invited, or we'll have it at our house and tell the rest of the people to come over. So I can kind of see where they're like getting annoyed by these people. So I think that I don't know if I would ever pull, like if we see somebody out on the lake that we know, like we'll do kind of what they said, like kind of drive by and say, hey, what's up? And not just pull up and tie up or say, hey, let's tie up. It'll be like, hey, if they're like, oh yeah, tie up, hang out or whatever, then that's fine. But yeah, they're definitely kind of, I think, overstaying their welcome. I would think just like call first or text first. Or if they say no, then don't show up there and then be upset. Like they said that they were unavailable. They had company. Yet they still showed up and then got upset when they told them to go away. So I feel like that's not overstepping bounds. I think they could. Yeah. So where would they be? I don't know. Because I feel like OP, they said that they texted them and said, we're not available. Right. Because they said, we already told them we were busy when they checked in. So like they said, hey, we're busy. Not right now. Then they showed up and then she said, sorry, we're good. We're entertaining. We'll have to get together another time. Like, that's not even me like, no, get the hell out of here. Like, I feel like their OP's not the asshole. What about Roger and Helene? Where'd they be? I mean, we have like in our neighborhood, like a lot of times kind of the rule is if like they're, the garage is just closed, then that's like they're doing their own thing. Because we drive around in a golf cart and you see people and you'll stop in and have a drink, but it's like, whatever. But
I think the tone of this line, sorry, we're good, we're entertaining, we'll have to get together another time, could make or break this. I know she was annoyed, but that like as a silo statement there's nothing wrong with that statement at all. Like, oh, I'm sorry, we're good, we're entertaining, we'll have to get together another time. Or, sorry, we're good, we're entertaining, we'll have to get together another time. That could make or break this.
Yeah.
Either way, they're...
4?
4 max.
You're saying
right?
a 4? I don't know.
Max. That's like could have, not should have, could.
Could have probably done it differently. Neighbors brought the whole, yeah.
It's just a miscommunication.
But they didn't say to Roger and Helene that they felt like they were stalking him, did they? Like, that's just what she's saying here. I don't think she ever told them, like, you're stalking us, like, leave us alone.
Oh, if she did, that would
be worse.
That would change it.
I don't know. I get where everybody's coming from.
I felt stalked. And
yeah.
I texted back saying I was sorry that they felt that way, but they needed respect when we're busy, and that at times my husband and I felt
she
stalked.
did say it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Probably a 3.
Okay.
Probably
that's
a 3.
That's gonna change it.
Oh, yeah.
That's harsh words.
Oh, my.
Yeah. But I mean, I get it. Like, to be honest, I've probably been that guy. Before. Ted has been Roger and Helene, and Ted has also been OP in this situation. So I don't know. It is what it is. But anyway,
it's an unfortunate miscommunication that just
it is an unfortunate miscommunication.
turned into something more.
I've also had the people where I'm like, please leave. Like, don't come around here or whatever. But it is. But anyway.
All right, we'll go.
All right, bye guys. Thank you so much for all the birthday wishes, all the birthday gifts, all the everything.
Tony Spark nailed it.
Just if you don't follow me, go follow Tony at @TonySpark_ because there could be a pop-up NASCAR live this weekend. Maybe my first and only live because I could get banned if there's any drinking going on it, but we'll just find out together. We'll find out together.